Minister, the Department of Education has produced an initial teacher education policy document which suggests that teacher provision will be led by a small number of university centres of teacher education, and it appears to discount any opportunity for the new TUs only recently established this year to formally engage previous plans to develop a teacher training capability. No disrespect to you personally, Minister, but it is entirely fitting that this question has been taken up by a Minister for Disability, given your government's approach to incapacitating our technological universities before they are even fully established. I am referring to the recent Department of Education's initial teacher education policy statement, released by Minister Foley on the 28th of March, a vision for the future of teacher education policy until 2030. Buried on page 8, Minister, is gobbledygook worthy of any Sir Humphreys. It is a declaration that no TU will ever deliver primary education while this policy is in place. And I quote, "It is expected that ITE provision will be led by a small number of university-led centres of excellence, as envisaged by the Salzburg II report." Page 86 sticks the sword in further. Technological universities will be in a position to provide subject expertise to ITE, but any plans for entirely new ITE provision must be led by a centre of excellence. So there we have it, Minister, in black and white. Technological universities are not allowed to compete for the additional higher education capacity that will be provided by the state in the coming years. In other words, get stuffed. The university cities of Dublin, Limerick, Galway, Cork, which will also soak in Sligo to the NUI Galway, are all going to be looked after. Technological universities will never have teacher training. This is an artificial limit, as per Richard Thorne. Incapacitated at birth by this crummy, shoddy piece of work, to be honest, Minister. Minister, Waterford was promised that the technological university would be good enough, that it would not be an impediment to the development of a fully resourced university with a full university spectrum of courses. Government Minister and previous governments said it would be a game changer. The initial teacher education policy statement gives the clearest signal yet that the present game has not changed. The HEA reports that 10,720 learners studying education presently, and this has grown 39% in the past 5 years. There is, however, no growth in the South East, and now with this policy, your government is ensuring there will never be teaching in Waterford, and in fact, there never can be teaching in Waterford, teacher training. The 1,790 students from the South East, 16% of all scholars of education, will continue to leave our region, continue to look for opportunity elsewhere that is not given to them in their own region. They will line the pockets of Dublin, Cork and Limerick universities. They will empty homes across the South East. Minister, this policy document is actually a disgrace. The technological universities will be hobbled before they are even fully established. The question is, maybe that was the policy design from the outset.
Good morning, Les, and thank you very much. And thank you, Deputy, for raising this, and I'm taking it on behalf of Minister Foley, the Minister for Education. So the initial teacher education policy statement, which Minister Foley launched last month, presented a vision for policy and provision across the sector, which can ensure that student teachers at primary and post-primary level have the skills to support all our children and young people as learners in the years ahead. The policy statement recognised the progress which has been made through the Teaching Council's accreditation of programmes and the structural reform which has been embedded in the system over the past decade, as well as the actions to meet challenges of teacher supply and COVID-19. One of the guiding principles of the policy is the continuation of the vision that initial teacher education will be led by a small number of university-led centres of teacher education excellence, and that each of these will have a critical mass to provide for good teacher and research and international cooperation with structures to ensure meaningful collaboration across education sectors. This reaffirms the position which was first set out in the 2012 report of International Review Panel on the structure of initial teacher education in Ireland. At that time, there were 19 publicly funded higher education institutions providing programmes for primary and post-primary teachers, as well as private providers. However, this growth was not coordinated and had evolved into a piecemeal manner, resulting in a variety of models of provision by a variety of providers. The review panel concluded that the provision outlined above did not concur with high-performing international practice. A review of the progress was carried out by Professor Pasi Schalsberg in 2019, and the review found considerable progress towards achieving this objective. The policy statement includes a phased implementation plan which sets out practical ways to progress this work in the years ahead. Minister Foley's department will be working closely with the Department of Further and Higher Education, as well as with the Teaching Council in this regard. Within this policy context, the policy statement recognises the contributions that technological universities can have to providing subject expertise for initial teacher education. The Deputy may be aware that there are, in fact, a number of technological universities already involved and contributing to ITE in diverse areas, while the linkage to a centre in line with policy remains key. As autonomous bodies, it falls to the individual higher education institutions to consider the scope of their further provision in line with their mission or strategy. This department would favour new programmes being introduced in areas where there is an identified national need. In this regard, it would be expected that there would be liaison with the department by higher education institutions, as well as the Teaching Council and the Department of Further and Higher Education, when considering new programme proposals. It is expected that there is due regard to the available data on teacher supply needs, and the policy statement includes a number of actions in this vein. And I hope the Deputy can see that there are certainly opportunities for technological university sectors to contribute to a further initial teacher education. And just in additional information, Deputy, I think it might address some of your questions. So officials of the department have met with representatives from the South East Technological University and have discussed the potential for SETU involvement in the ITE provision in collaboration with centres of ITE. And following the recent publication of the ITE policy, statement correspondence has been received from the SETU and a reply is being drafted. Thank you.
Well, Minister, I'm sure you know, and your government certainly knows, that WIT, which is the fulcrum of the new South East Technological University, has been providing teacher training in the form of further education, which is recognised by the Training Council, by the Teacher Training Council. And the academics in WIT have long recognised the regional need for teacher education, particularly at second level in the South East. In fact, they conducted a review of this need across the region, and they have the data to support that argument. And it was a fundamental understanding of the development of TUs that they would have a regional remit and that provision of teacher education would be a part of that. Sadly, Minister, this latest departmental report underscores where influence resides and where policy is written, notwithstanding your final statement there. The idea that the ambitions of aspiring teacher students can only be realised in one of the national universities, in my opinion, is risible and actually perverse, especially considering the research and academic achievements that the Waterford campus have set to over the past decade. It gives me no pleasure to say it, Minister, but it does appear to me to be business as usual in terms of denigrating the ambitions of the South East and particularly of Waterford academics and education. I am not sure that many families in Waterford or the South East will thank government or your colleagues for the resumption of this discriminatory behaviour, Minister. We were promised a game-changing university, and despite what you've added in your statement there, I don't see anything to counter that at the moment. So I think no thanks will be forthcoming for the removal of opportunity in our region, and certainly none for those who cheered a new dawn of academic and faculty advancement in the South East, because it is not being seen. The reality, Minister, is that people have been cheering a new dawn. Unfortunately, I think this latest policy is actually a setting sun on the ambitions of teacher training in Waterford and the South East.
Thank you, Lass. And I will continue with Minister Foley's concluding statement, and I understand Minister Foley says the Deputy's desire to ensure that the South East Technological University can achieve its full potential and contribute to the economic and social development in the South East. The Deputy will see that there are opportunities for the technological university sector to contribute to initial teacher education, as has been outlined. And I hope that the Deputy will understand that the policy consideration by Minister Foley's department, it is important to ensure that our student teachers have excellent preparation, which has the advantage of critical mass for high quality research and teaching. This policy reflects the findings of international experts on how the structures for initial teacher education in Ireland can best ensure high quality education. And the objective is, in publishing the policy statement, is to improve the overall quality of initial teacher education in Ireland. This will involve practical measures which will improve available evidence and enhance the already strong collaboration within the sector. It requires collaboration in the sector and also collaboration between government departments and bodies such as the Teaching Council. And it will ensure that our newly qualified teachers have the necessary tools to support them in their aim to inspire, enlighten and prepare pupils and students to succeed in life. And I will say it again, the last paragraph. Following recent publication of the ITE policy, statement correspondence has been received from SETU and a reply is being drafted. So despite what you have said there, I cannot see any further into the crystal ball than what Minister Foley has told me, and there is no outcome. The draft is being produced.